Welcome to Sleepy Finance, your peaceful sanctuary for soothing financial stories designed to gently guide you into restful sleep. Before we begin tonight's journey, if you find calm and value here, please softly tap the like button, subscribe, and ring the bell. It supports our quiet mission and ensures you never miss a serene evening with us. Now take a deep, relaxing breath. Hold it for just a moment and release slowly, letting your tensions drift away. Tonight, our tale unfolds in a cozy haven of lamplight and soft shadows, where two old friends, Emma and Lucas, stand at a crossroads between instant gratification and the quiet power of delayed reward. Act 1. The Moment of Choice. A hush settled over the study as the lone lamp flickered to life, its golden glow revealing two figures poised at either side of a grand mahogany desk. The air was thick with anticipation, and the only sound that dared to break the silence was the gentle tick of a mahogany-cased grandfather clock. Emma and Lucas, friends since childhood, exchanged a quiet nod before turning their attention to the envelopes that lay before them. Emma's heart fluttered as she reached for her envelope, its texture reassuringly thick beneath her fingertips. She drew a slow breath, remembering how her grandmother used to tell her, "Patience, my dear, is the truest form of courage." With that memory guiding her, she lifted the flap. Nestled inside was a single penny, worn smooth by countless exchanges, accompanied by a note that read, "Receive 1 penny today. Each day thereafter, your amount will double for 30 days. The promise echoed in Emma's mind. She held the penny to the light, noticing every tiny imperfection. The faint scratches, the subtle sheen, the way it caught the lamplight like a miniature sun. In that moment, she felt a spark of excitement ripple through her, an ember fanned by the possibility that this humble coin could, in time, multiply into something extraordinary. Emma's memories and reflections. She closed her eyes and let her thoughts drift back to the early mornings in her grandmother's garden. She could almost feel the damp earth under her nails and hear the distant chirp of birds greeting the dawn. She recalled gently pressing seeds into soft soil, watering them with a steady hand, and waiting, always waiting, for the first green shoots to emerge. That patient ritual taught her that growth was rarely instantaneous. It was the result of small, consistent acts performed with faith. Back in the present, Emma rose and retrieved a delicate glass jar from an adjacent side table. The jar's surface was cool under her fingers, etched with tiny ivy leaves that curved around its neck. She placed the penny inside and hesitated, savoring the hush before the first ripple of change. Then, decisively, she adjusted the lamp so its beam would fall directly upon the coin each evening, turning her humble vessel into a shrine of promise. May each new dawn bring more than just light. May it bring proof that faith rewards those who wait, Emma thinks. Across the desk, Lucas mirrored Emma's deliberate calm. He exhaled slowly, steadying himself as he broke the seal on his envelope. Inside lay crisp, unmarked bills, a full $1 million, and a note asserting, "Receive $1 million today, all at once." A wave of relief washed over Lucas. He felt decades of worry, the late notice bills, the anxious budgeting, the sleepless nights, melt away in an instant. He arranged the bills into neat stacks, the soft rustle of paper echoing like a soft chord, resolving in a grand symphony. Lucas's memories and reflections. He held a single bill between thumb and forefinger, feeling its weight and marveling at the precision of its printing. His mind drifted to his childhood dream of opening a small music studio, long abandoned for the grind of 9 to 5. He thought of his younger sister's unwavering passion for art and how he'd always promised to help when he could. With this fortune, he realized, he could turn those promises into reality. Lucas placed the stacks into a hand-carved wooden chest lined with deep crimson velvet. The lid clicked shut, sealing his newfound certainty like a tactile vow. No more postponing life's melodies. Today, I hold the power to compose my future, Lucas thinks. The shared moment of silence. For several seconds, neither spoke. The lamp's glow reflected off the clock's pendulum, casting slivered lights across the ceiling. Emma and Lucas, each cradling their chosen vessels, one of growing promise, the other of immediate abundance, absorbed the gravity of the moment. Emma felt the steady hum of anticipation as her fingertips brushed the jar's glass. The scent of beeswax polish and old parchment filled her nostrils, anchoring her to the timeless rhythm of hope and patience. Lucas sensed a profound tranquility as he pressed his palm to the velvet chest. The aroma of polished wood and the distant rumble of the city beyond the window reminded him of the life now open to him, unfettered by past constraints. Emma returned to her chair and studied the penny, imagining how, by the second dawn, there would be 2. By the fourth, 8. By the month's end, hundreds of thousands. Lucas, seated opposite, rested his hand on the chest, contemplating which needs to address first and which dreams to chase next. The grandfather clock's ticking as motif. The clock's pendulum swung in measured arcs. With each tick, time marched forward, indifferent to the nature of wealth. For Emma, each passing second was a step in a slow waltz toward amplification. For Lucas, those same seconds were a gift, a release from years of waiting. Tick. Emma's heart grew steadier with the thought of compound growth. Tock. Lucas's mind felt clearer, unburdened by the mathematical precision of scarcity. Deep comparative reflection. In the stillness, Emma and Lucas recognized the duality of their decisions, one that cultivated and one that consumed. Emma's path required faith in an unseen return, a willingness to trust time's invisible hand. Lucas's path celebrated the tangible, the immediate, the power of a single moment to redefine a lifetime. They rose together, Emma cradling her glass jar and Lucas holding his wooden chest like twin icons of possibility. As they stepped toward the door, Emma in soft slippers, Lucas in polished loafers, the lamplight danced on their profiles, casting long shadows that intertwined, symbolizing the shared respect for their divergent journeys. With a final glance at the silent study, they crossed the threshold into the night, each carrying within them a promise. Emma, that gentle compounding would unfold. Lucas, that swift abundance would inspire. End of Act 1. Act 2, Days 1 and 2, The Dawn of Growth and Restful Assurance. As the first blush of dawn painted Emma's room in pastel pinks, she stirred with an eager anticipation that felt almost foreign in her dreams. The grandfather clock's soft chime cut through the early morning hush, urging her to wake. Emma's bare feet found the cool hardwood floor as she rose and made her way to the study, where the jar awaited. Stepping into the lamplit room, Emma inhaled deeply, savoring the mingled scents of lavender sachets and beeswax polish. There on the desk lay her glass jar, once housing a solitary penny, now cradling 2 bright coins like twin beacons. She pressed her palm against the jar's smooth surface, feeling both the glass's firmness and the coin's slight rattle within. 2, and soon, many more, Emma says. She fetched a soft linen cloth from a drawer and gently polished each penny until its copper surface gleamed. Each gentle stroke became a ritual, a moment of connection with the promise she had accepted. As she worked, Emma's mind drifted to the concept of compound interest she'd once read about in a worn economics text at the university library. The principle felt magical, how a small sum, given time and a steady hand, could transform beyond imagination. Polishing complete, Emma removed the jar's lid and added 2 fresh pennies she had set aside, a handwritten reminder from a childhood piggy bank. Carefully, she slipped them into the jar. The 4 coins settled at the bottom, a miniature constellation forming under the lamplight. She arranged a cup of chamomile tea beside the jar, its steam spiraling skyward. Emma cradled the cup in both hands, closing her eyes as she took the first sip. The warmth spread through her chest, and she felt a sense of grounded center. Her decision was paying its first dividends. As the morning sun climbed, Emma prepared for her day. She slipped 2 pennies into her pocket, tokens of progress to carry with her. Throughout her morning routine, every glance at the jar or the coins in her pocket served as a gentle reminder of the power of patience. Lucas's morning. Elsewhere, Lucas greeted the day with the absence of worry ringing through his mind like a clear bell. The sunlight streamed through his study's tall windows, illuminating the wooden chest that now held his $1,000,000 windfall. He opened it and gazed upon the bills, noting how each stack lay perfectly aligned as though waiting for his command. A new day, unfettered by yesterday's anxieties, Lucas thinks. Lucas selected a single bill and ran his fingers over the raised print, the slight texture confirming its authenticity. He placed it back gently and retrieved his ledger, opening it to a fresh page. With fluid strokes, he began drafting a plan. A portion for debt repayment, a stream allocated to investments, a small percentage for immediate charitable giving, and another for personal enrichment. Violin lessons long postponed, and an art class subscription for his sister. As he wrote, a sense of focus suffused him. The act of planning felt collaborative, like co-authoring his own future. The chest's velvet interior seemed to cradle his newfound purpose, supporting each intention with quiet assurance. Parallel midday reflections. By midday, Emma returned to the study. The 4 pennies lay quietly, a testament to her morning's devotion. She paused to imagine the next doubling. Tomorrow, 8. The day after, 16. In her mind's eye, she saw a steady cascade of coins, each layer building upon the last. Emma pored over a tattered notebook, jotting down mental notes. Small celebrations at every milestone. 10 pennies, 50 pennies, $1. She sketched a simple chart, mapping the arc of growth so she could witness her progress visually. The chart's upward curve was modest now, but thrilling in its trajectory. Meanwhile, Lucas spent the afternoon meeting with a financial advisor he trusted. They discussed strategies for preserving wealth, diversified portfolios, low-fee index funds, and the allure of high-yield bonds. Lucas nodded thoughtfully, realizing that his choice of instant gratification came with a responsibility to steward that wealth wisely over time. After the meeting, Lucas ventured out into the world, test driving a modest electric car, an impulse made possible by his newfound resources. He walked the showroom floor with a quiet excitement, knowing that the luxury of choice was now his daily companion. Evening Rituals, Day 2. As dusk settled, Emma returned once more. The silvery light of the rising moon mingled with the lamplight, casting long shadows across the desk. She retrieved 2 more pennies, this time from her grandmother's heirloom coin collection, and placed them into the jar. 6 pennies now shimmered beneath the glass, arranged in a gentle semicircle that reminded her of a beckoning sunrise. Emma lit a lavender-scented candle and settled into the velvet chair, notebook in hand. She recorded her reflections, the joy of small beginnings, the comfort of a daily ritual, the quiet confidence blooming within her. Across the city, Lucas closed his chest and tidied his desk. He drafted an email to a local charity offering sponsorship, then booked a spot in an evening jazz workshop he'd long admired. The chest rested closed, its contents safely tucked away. But Lucas felt its presence like a warm ember glowing in his thoughts. Shared dusk reflection. Emma and Lucas, in separate worlds, honored their chosen paths. She through patient accumulation, he through intentional distribution. Both found that the simple act of acknowledging their decisions brought a profound sense of alignment and purpose. As the night deepened, Emma whispered a soft goodnight to her jar, leaving it to stand sentinel in the silver glow. Lucas dimmed his desk lamp, the velvet chest fading into shadow. Each drifted into a peaceful sleep, hearts buoyed by the morning's first fruits and the promise of what tomorrow would bring. End of Act 2. Act 3. Building Momentum. Days 3 to 7. The quiet crescendo of compounding. By the third dawn, Emma's ritual had settled into a graceful routine that felt as natural as breathing. The soft chime of the grandfather clock drew her from sleep, and she moved to the study with familiar purpose. There, bathed in the gentle glow of lamplight, stood her glass jar. Its contents, 4 bright pennies, gleamed like a small assembly of lanterns guiding her forward. Emma lifted the jar, her fingers curling around its cool surface. She peered inside, thrilled by the sight of 4 coins where once there was only 1. Each penny was a testament to her trust in the process, evidence that time and consistency could turn meager beginnings into promise. Emma's reflection. 4 small sparks now kindle the flame of abundance. With a delicate touch, she removed the lid and added 4 fresh pennies, each sourced from her grandmother's heirloom collection. The jar now held 8 coins, arranged in a miniature constellation that danced under the lamplight. Emma paused to realign the pennies into a perfect circle, whispering a silent vow to nurture their growth. Day 4, early morning. As sunbeams filtered through the curtains, Emma returned and counted 8 pennies. The number felt both significant and humble, a reminder that growth, though exponential, began in small increments. She reached for her journal, a leather-bound repository of her journey, and carefully inscribed, Day 4, 8 pennies, a quiet crescendo, each coin a heartbeat in time's gentle rhythm. She sipped her morning tea, peppermint today, its cool warmth grounding her as she reflected on the principle of compounding. In her mind's eye, she visualized a graph stretching upward, a graceful curve rising from modest beginnings to promising horizons. Midday musings. Emma stepped outside onto her porch for a breath of fresh air. The world beyond the glass jar felt alive with possibility. The rustle of leaves, the distant laughter of children, the soft hum of life in motion. She slipped 2 pennies into her pocket, tokens of progress to carry with her as she greeted neighbors and ran errands. Each time she touched the coins, she felt reconnected to her pact with tomorrow. Meanwhile, across the city, Lucas embraced his own morning. Rising before the sun, he walked to the study's window and gazed upon his wooden chest. Sliding open the lid, he admired the crisp bills within, a $1 million reservoir awaiting deployment. Lucas's reflection. This moment is a fulcrum. From here, every choice tilts the future. He extracted a small bundle and reviewed the day's goals. Allocate funds to pay off medical bills, transfer a sum to his sister's college fund, and invest in a community art program. With each decision, he felt a surge of responsibility and excitement, keenly aware that instant wealth carried with it the call to purposeful action. Day 5, Evening Dialogue. On the 5th evening, Emma invited her dear friend Clara to her home for tea. The two sat by the hearth, the jar of pennies glowing like a beacon on the table between them. Clara's eyes widened as Emma revealed 16 coins. "I'm amazed, Emma. 16 pennies in just 5 days. It's poetic," Clara said. "It's more than coins. It's proof that small, steady steps can lead to beautiful places," Emma said, smiling. They clinked teacups in a quiet toast, acknowledging both the tangible and intangible gifts of Emma's journey. Elsewhere, Lucas hosted his own gathering, a modest reception in his study. Advisors, friends, and family members raised their glasses to his windfall. He outlined his plans, from philanthropy to personal growth, and invited feedback. "Your restraint is commendable. Instant abundance harnessed with wisdom can create lasting impact," the financial advisor said. "I want this gift to be a ripple that benefits more than just myself," Lucas said. Day 6, Introspective Rituals. Day 6 found Emma alone at the desk as dusk approached. She counted 32 pennies, each one a testament to trust fulfilled. She lit a lavender candle and closed her eyes, allowing the fragrance to envelop her. 32 whispers of tomorrow's promise. Emma whispers. In her journal, she penned reflections on patience. "Growth is not a race but a tapestry, woven by choices we make each day." She placed 2 new pennies into the jar with reverent care, feeling the weight of each decision settle into her bones. Lucas, on his part, closed out his portfolio reviews for the week, noting modest upticks in diversified investments. He arranged a mentoring session for young entrepreneurs, offering both funds and guidance, a tangible expression of his instant gratification gift, blossoming into communal support. Day 7, Culmination and Contemplation. When the 7th dawn arrived, Emma counted 64 pennies, a small fortune from her original seed. The jar's contents sparkled like a gathering of fireflies caught in glass. She poured herself a cup of rosehip tea and sat beneath an open window, allowing a breeze to stir the page of her journal. In 7 days, Emma's single penny had multiplied into a chorus of 64, a testament to the gentle power of compounding. Under the same sky, Lucas reviewed his weekly progress with equanimity. His chest remained full, but his deeds had already begun to spread outward. Scholarships funded, community programs bolstered, dreams rekindled. Lucas's final thought: 7 days of reflection, action, and purpose. From this point, the horizon only widens. That night, Emma and Lucas, worlds apart, settled into sleep with hearts content. One dreamed of a jar heavy with coins, the other of a chest ripe with possibilities. Both paths, though distinct, led to a place of calm assurance, each honoring the art of choice, the steady crescendo of delayed reward and the vibrant chorus of instant impact. End of Act 3. Act 4, First Milestone, Day 10, the sweet spot of small triumphs. Emma awakened before dawn's first light, her mind humming with anticipation for the day's ritual. The study beckoned, its familiar glow a beacon of her journey's progress. As she crossed the threshold, the lamp's warm circle illuminated her treasure. 512 pennies, clustered like a field of copper blossoms. She approached slowly, each footstep echoing softly against the polished floor. The jar stood proudly at center stage, its surface shimmering with the promise of tomorrow's doubling. Emma reached out, fingertips tracing the jar's rim, feeling the cool, unyielding glass beneath her palm. 10 days had sculpted these coins into a small fortune, $5.12 born from a single seed. Emma eased a porcelain teacup from its saucer, the delicate china cool to her touch. She poured fragrant wildflower tea, its petals floating on the surface like confetti in still water. Bringing the cup to her lips, she inhaled deeply, letting the floral aroma mingle with memory. Her thoughts drifted back to simpler times, childhood mornings spent gathering wildflowers with her grandmother, her small hands brushing dew-laden petals. Each flower, fleeting yet radiant, mirrored her pennies, ordinary at first glance, extraordinary in number and impact. The ceremony of celebration. Emma decided this milestone required more than quiet reflection. She prepared a small spread on an antique side table, freshly baked biscotti, a silver tray of lemon tarts, and a crystal bowl filled with sage-smoked nuts. She lit 3 white candles, their flames flickering like silent applause. Next, Emma penned invitations to her dearest friends, asking them to join her at 1:00 that afternoon for a modest gathering. Each note bore a single penny affixed to the front, a token of the journey. As guests arrived, they were greeted by the soft chime of the clock and the comforting scent of tea. Emma guided them to the table, where the jar glittered like a trophy of perseverance. One by one, she lifted the lid and invited her friends to tip in a single penny of their own, symbolically adding to her unfolding story. "It's magical to see how far you've come," Emma's friend said. "Every coin is a promise kept," Emma says softly. Their laughter and warm wishes wove into the room's atmosphere, each heartfelt word a soft reinforcement of Emma's path. Parallel triumph. Across town, Lucas greeted the new day with a sense of purpose sharpened by his earlier reflections. He lit his study's lamp and stood before the wooden chest, its velvet-lined interior like a sanctuary for his aspirations. He withdrew a stack of bills and placed it upon his desk, the crisp edges still bearing the imprint of yesterday's careful planning. Today, he resolved, would be dedicated to community impact. Lucas drafted a letter to the director of a local youth center, proposing a $50,000 sponsorship for after-school programs. He detailed how the funds could purchase musical instruments, art supplies, and computers, tools to unlock potential. In channeling his wealth outward, Lucas transformed instant gratification into enduring empowerment. The afternoon unfolds. Emma's celebration flowed into a gentle afternoon. Guests tasted tarts, sipped tea, and shared stories. She guided them through her chart, showing the exponential curve of her pennies. With each explanation, admiration blossomed. Meanwhile, Lucas met with the youth center's director via video call. They discussed timelines, volunteer opportunities, and naming rights for a new creativity wing. Lucas felt a swelling pride as his resources crystallized into real-world possibilities. Evening reflection. As twilight draped the sky in purples and blues, Emma returned alone to the study. The candles had burned low, their wax pooled in delicate rivulets. She counted the pennies once more, 507 left to nourish tomorrow's cycle, and set aside 5 for a neighborhood coin drive. She closed the jar's lid with a soft click, knowing each remaining penny was poised to double anew. She recorded the day in her journal, day 10 marked by sharing and community. 5 coins given in gratitude, 507 await their next bloom. Simultaneously, Lucas closed his laptop and walked to the window. City lights flickered like distant constellations. He placed the proposal packet into an envelope and addressed it with care. The act felt ceremonial, a binding of intention. Lucas's reflection: generosity is the sweetest return on investment. He returned to the chest, closing its lid and inhaling the scent of polished wood and velvet. The hush of the room echoed with the promise of tomorrow's choices. Shared insight. In separate sanctuaries, Emma and Lucas paused to contemplate the day's triumphs. One had woven a tapestry of connection around her compounding pennies. The other had laid the groundwork for lasting community transformation. Both recognized that milestones were not solitary peaks, but pivots, points where progress and purpose converged. As the grandfather clock chimed 10 times, they each whispered a quiet goodnight to their vessels. Emma placed her teacup on the desk and extinguished the candles. Lucas dimmed his lamp and set his proposal by the chest. In the tranquility that followed, they drifted toward sleep, hearts buoyed by the sweetest of triumphs, one of patient accumulation, the other of intentional generosity. End of Act 4. Act 5, Midpoint Doubt and Wonder, days 11 to 15, The Turning Tide. On the 11th morning, Emma approached the study with measured steps. The memory of yesterday's ceremony lingered in her mind, mingling with a flicker of apprehension. She paused at the doorway, taking in the sight of 1,024 pennies gleaming in the lamplight, $10.24 amassed from her earliest seed. The jar's weight seemed to press gently against her palm as she lifted it to count the coins anew. Halfway through, Emma found herself at the crossroads of belief and uncertainty, where every choice echoed with greater urgency. She released the jar onto the desk and opened her journal to a fresh page. With a steady pen, she traced the numbers. Day 11, 1,024 pennies. Gratitude warms the waiting. A soft sigh escaped her lips as she wrote. Then, with deliberate calm, she fetched 1,024 new pennies, gifted by a neighbor who admired her journey, and let them settle into the jar. The jingle of copper rang like a chorus of quiet affirmations. Day 12, Shadows of Doubt. On day 12, Emma awoke under a blanket of low clouds. The morning light was muted, casting the study in gentle gray tones. She entered with hesitation, her reflection clouded by doubt. What if these moments slip through my fingers like water? Emma whispers to herself. She counted 2,048 pennies, each echoing in the jar. The doubling felt mechanical rather than magical, and Emma felt a pang of impatience. To steady her mind, she brewed a spiced tea, cinnamon and clove, its warmth a balm for frayed nerves. As she sipped, she revisited her grandmother's words. Roots must reach deep before branches can flourish. Renewed, Emma retrieved 2,048 pennies from her keepsake box and added them to the jar, reaffirming her faith. Day 13, Seeking Stewardship. Day 13 dawned with a crisp breeze that rattled the window panes. Emma decided to introduce a new element to her ritual: stewardship. She invited her friend Clara and Clara's niece Lily to join her in counting the coins. With gentle instruction, Emma guided Lily's small hands as they dropped handfuls of pennies into the jar, the sound echoing like hopeful laughter. "Watching this grow feels like witnessing a tiny revolution," Clara said. "Every penny is a promise of tomorrow," Emma said, smiling. They spoke of vision and perseverance, weaving personal stories into the currency of trust. When they finished, the jar held 4,096 pennies, a tangible testament to resilience. Day 14, the balance between action and weight. By day 14, Emma recognized the need for balance. She rose early and set aside a single penny to symbolize the importance of small actions taken immediately. She walked through the neighborhood, placing the penny in a community donation box at the local library, an act of instant giving amid her journey of delay. Narrator. Even within delayed gratification, Emma discovered moments to act with immediacy, weaving generosity into patience. Returning home, Emma counted 8,192 pennies, acknowledging the harmony between her dual impulses. She recorded, Day 14, 8,192 pennies, patience paired with purpose. She lit a pale blue candle, calming and reflective, allowing its flame to dance across the glass. Day 15, Reflection on Growth. On the 15th dawn, Emma entered the study at first light. The jar now contained 16,384 pennies, $163.84, its presence both staggering and sublime. She pressed her palm to the glass and exhaled slowly. Narrator. At the halfway point, Emma's journey had become a mosaic of moments, each penny a chapter in her unfolding tale. She retrieved her journal and wrote, Day 15, 16,384 pennies. Halfway there, doubt conquered by dedication, fear tamed by trust. Emma decided to honor this midpoint with a ritual of gratitude. She placed the jar at the center of her dining table and invited her family for brunch. With warm smiles, they gathered around croissants and fresh fruit, talking about dreams and the power of small beginnings. Each family member offered words of encouragement, their voices weaving a tapestry of support. Lucas's parallel journey. While Emma celebrated, Lucas approached his midpoint with equal introspection. 15 days after his windfall, his initial allocations had blossomed into living projects. He visited the youth center, watching children learn violin and painting in rooms furnished by his donation. He attended an art exhibition sponsored by his sister's fund, where she unveiled her first gallery collection. He led a community meeting on financial literacy, empowering neighbors with knowledge that transcended currency. Lucas discovered that while his wealth came instantly, its true value emerged through deliberate acts that elevated others. On day 11, he had launched a micro-grant initiative. By day 12, he funded a community garden. Day 13 saw him underwriting a scholarship. Day 14, hiring a part-time counselor for a local shelter. On day 15, Lucas paused to reflect on these cumulative impacts. He penned a note to himself. Day 15, actions echo, from wealth, we craft legacy. Closing his ledger, Lucas stepped outside into the late afternoon. The city's hum felt different to him now, each sound a reminder of lives touched and futures brightened. He released a deep breath, feeling the synergy of choice and consequence. Shared midpoint insight. As clock hands converged on the hour, Emma and Lucas, worlds apart, shared a moment of unified understanding. Emma whispered to her jar, "Trust the quiet rhythms of growth." Lucas whispered to the evening air, "Embrace the power of what we can give today." In that shared pause, they harnessed the true lesson of their divergent paths. That the essence of wealth, whether accumulated slowly or granted swiftly, is revealed in the courage to believe, the wisdom to act, and the generosity to share. End of Act 5. Act 6, Exponential Reality, Days 16 to 20, Cocky Heights and Grounded Resolve. Day 16, Triumph and Swagger. Lucas awoke on the 16th morning like a king in his marble palace, sunlight pouring through the floor-to-ceiling windows of his penthouse study. The velvet-lined chest waited on his mahogany desk, its lid still sealed. He swished open the velvet flap and surveyed his $1,000,000 bounty, still intact. While Emma's pennies climbed steadily, Lucas reveled in the unapologetic confidence of unearned wealth. He leaned back in his leather chair, admiring the crisp edges of his bills as though they were works of art. With a smirk, he flipped a bill into the air and caught it between two fingers, savoring the weight and texture. Lucas, thinking, "I own my destiny now, no more pinching pennies." He poured himself an extravagant espresso, the steam curling like applause. Sprawled across the desk, his open planner flaunted bold plans. A new sports car this weekend, a luxury retreat next month, and an invitation-only gala he was hosting for friends and colleagues. Day 17, Flaunting Fortune. That afternoon, Lucas hosted a casual showcase for his inner circle. In a spacious lounge adjoining his study, he displayed a lineup of high-end watches, designer suits, and exotic gadgets, trophies of his instant gratification spree. "You're moving faster than the stock market," the guest said. Lucas, grinning, "I don't wait for gains, I make them happen." He snapped a photo with a gold-plated pen poised above a blank check made out to himself, posting it with a smug caption, "When you wake up and realize you're unstoppable." Day 18, Emma's quiet contrast. Meanwhile, in Emma's modest cottage, she approached her jar with steady anticipation. She counted 131,072 pennies, $1,310.72, feeling the weight of her daily ritual. A notification buzzed on her phone. Lucas's latest social media post showcasing luxury cars and champagne. Emma paused, then recorded in her journal, Day 18, 131,072 pennies, steadfast lessons richer than any spectacle. Day 19, Emma's steady growth and Lucas's bold moves. Before sunrise, Emma returned to her study and gently added 131,072 pennies, doubling her total to 262,144 pennies, $2,621.44. She sketched a quick peek chart in her journal. Day 19, 262,144 pennies, each doubling a whisper of tomorrow's promise. Meanwhile, Lucas surprised his team at the office with impromptu bonuses, pay raises, extra vacation days, and personalized gifts. He circulated the chest among stunned employees, inviting them to admire its contents. "This is incredible, but overwhelming," one colleague murmured. "Overwhelm can be a good problem to have," Lucas laughed, his confidence momentarily unchecked. Day 20, Emma's centered response and Lucas's awakening. As daylight broke, Emma added 262,144 pennies, doubling her jar to 524,288 pennies, $5,242.88. She placed an image of her glowing jar beside Lucas's ostentatious feed, captioning it, "Slow and steady, the true art of waiting." That evening, Lucas noticed Emma's quiet post. His smirk faltered as he stared at his reflection in the chest's polished wood, sensing for the first time the hollow echo of applause. At the peak of his cocky ascent, Lucas glimpsed the quiet power of Emma's patient resolve. He set aside his checkbook, closing the chest with a thoughtful click. Emma extinguished her candle, the pennies resting as silent monuments to her unwavering faith. That night they shared a powerful contrast. Lucas, shaken from his swagger by the gentle strength of delayed reward. Emma, unmoved, her heart nourished by each deliberate dawn. End of Act 6. Act 7. Convergence of Paths, days 21 to 25. Day 21. Seeds of Reconciliation. Soft dawn light filtered through the tall windows as Emma crossed the threshold into her study. The glass jar sat center stage on her mahogany desk, its 1,048,576 pennies, equivalent to $10,485.76, weaving constellations of copper under the lamplight. Emma's breath caught in her throat at the sight, a mirror to every night spent tending her small ritual. She reached out, fingertips brushing against the smooth glass, and felt the pulse of time thrumming beneath her touch. Pulling a nearby chair close, Emma sank into its velvet cushion. She opened her leather journal to a blank page and dipped her fountain pen into deep black ink. Words flowed steadily. Day 21. Over 1,000,000 cents stand testament to a promise kept. Each coin is a heartbeat in patience's great symphony. As ink dried, she paused to reflect on how far she'd come. From a solitary penny to this shimmering legion. A memory drifted in. Her grandmother's gentle voice, planting seeds in a spring garden. Emma closed her eyes, inhaling the faint scent of jasmine from the open window. With resolve, she penned a new letter addressed to Lucas. My dear friend, your generosity and my patience have shown me that wealth takes many forms. Thank you for reminding me that every form bears its own wisdom. Sealing the envelope with scarlet wax, she affixed a single penny, symbol of shared kinship. Later that evening, miles away, Lucas broke the seal. By lamplight, he read Emma's words slowly, feeling warmth spread through his chest. He pressed a finger to the penny, then sat to write his reply, a letter of genuine gratitude for Emma's lesson in true abundance. Day 22, Workshop of Dreams. Emma's parlor, usually still and serene, buzzed with animated energy. Soft cushions were arranged in a semicircle, and a low table held pitchers of mint tea and plates of honey biscuits. Clara and Lily arrived just as the morning sun cast dappled patterns across the rug. Emma greeted them with a warm smile. Without ceremony, she lifted the jar and passed it to Clara. Together, they poured the contents onto a velvet cloth. 2,097,152 pennies. The coins spilled like raindrops, catching light in every glint. Clara paused, eyes wide. Over 2,000,000 pennies, she breathed. It feels alive. Lily giggled, scooping handfuls to test their weight. That's like magic. Explosions of ideas followed. a monthly children's reading hour beneath the ancient oak, complete with storybook benches, a spring neighborhood cleanup day with handmade banners, a scholarship fund seated by spare pennies. Emma captured every thought in her journal, translating laughter into plans. Across town, Lucas sat at his walnut desk, Emma's RSVP propped open before him. He carefully sketched an outline for a finance and faith seminar, layering themes of patience, purpose, and stewardship, eager to merge his world with Emma's. Day 23, The Gathering. By dusk, Emma's study had transformed. Lanterns strung along the shelves cast honey-hued light, and vases of wildflowers perfumed the air. Neighbors filed in, murmuring anticipation. At the front stood two pedestals, one cradling Emma's jar, now 4,194,304 pennies, 41,943.04, the other holding Lucas's chest, its velvet lining kissed by the edges of bundled bills. Emma began, voice soft yet steady. She wove her tale of humble beginnings, tracing how a solitary penny learned to multiply through trust in time. Her audience leaned forward, eyes reflecting her quiet passion. When she finished, Lucas stepped up. He removed a single stack of bills and let them flutter like banners. "I once believed wealth was measured by speed," he confessed. "But standing here with Emma's story, I see that true abundance is measured by impact." Together they unveiled the micro-grant program, half funded by Emma's pennies, half by Lucas's dollars. Each recipient would receive a blend of both, a symbol of unity between slow cultivation and bold action. Day 24, First Grants and First Joy. The hour before dawn found Emma in her study alone. She carefully lifted 8,388,608 pennies, $83,886.08, and placed them into 3 woven baskets lined with silk. As candle flames flickered, she felt each coin's weight echo through her fingertips. At the same moment, Lucas sealed a check for $10,000 and placed it atop the baskets. By lantern light, Emma and Lucas, separate in space but united in purpose, prepared for their shared mission. With guests gathered in the courtyard garden, Emma handed sealed envelopes to 5 individuals: a young woman with calloused hands ready to launch a gardening startup, a violinist practicing beneath the moon, a tutor with endless patience, an artist clutching charcoal sticks, and a volunteer at the food pantry whose eyes brimmed with gratitude. As each recipient opened their envelope, the baskets of pennies and the folded checks glinted in the soft glow. Emma's heart swelled with each gasp of surprise. Lucas's chest tightened with pride as he witnessed immediate transformation. Day 25, a new dawn of purpose. Sunrise painted the sky in swaths of rose and gold. Emma returned to her study and counted 16,777,216 pennies, $167,772.16, carefully noting the figure in her journal. She closed the leather-bound book with a final flourish, inscribing, Day 25, wealth in hand and spirit, ready for tomorrow's rise. Meanwhile, Lucas walked to his window, where Emma's thank you letter rested atop his velvet-lined chest. He placed his hand over the chest and closed his eyes, breathing in the crisp morning air. In his mind, he replayed the past days, the seminar's fervor, the recipient's smiles, Emma's unwavering calm. Descending the stairs, he paused in the foyer, feeling a newfound humility. He vowed quietly, "May every dollar from this day forward build more than comfort. May it build community." Back in the study, Emma lit a single white candle and watched its flame dance. The jar and chest sat side by side, their contents unequal in quantity but equal in intent. In the hushed space between night and day, Emma whispered, "May every penny continue to teach me patience and generosity." And so, as light fully claimed the morning, their journeys, once diverging, stood woven together. Patience met purpose, cultivation joined compassion. Act 7 closed on a promise that from this moment onward, wealth in any form would serve the greater good. End of Act 7. Emma's parlor, usually still and serene, buzzed with animated energy. Soft cushions were arranged in a semicircle, and a low table held pitchers of mint tea and plates of honey biscuits. Clara and Lily arrived just as the morning sun cast dappled patterns across the rug. Emma greeted them with a warm smile. Without ceremony, she lifted the jar and passed it to Clara. Together they poured the contents onto a velvet cloth. 1,048,576 pennies. The coins spilled like raindrops, catching light in every glint. Clara paused, eyes wide. "Over 1,000,000 pennies," she breathed. "It feels alive." Lily giggled, scooping handfuls to test their weight. "That's like magic." Explosions of ideas followed. A monthly children's reading hour beneath the ancient oak, complete with storybook benches. A spring neighborhood cleanup day with handmade banners. A scholarship fund seated by spare pennies. Emma captured every thought in her journal, translating laughter into plans. Across town, Lucas sat at his walnut desk, Emma's RSVP propped open before him. He carefully sketched an outline for a finance and faith seminar, layering themes of patience, purpose, and stewardship, eager to merge his world with Emma's. Day 23, the gathering. By dusk, Emma's study had transformed. Lanterns strung along the shelves cast honey-hued light, and vases of wildflowers perfumed the air. Neighbors filed in, murmuring anticipation. At the front stood two pedestals, one cradling Emma's jar, now brimming with 2,097,152 pennies, 2,971.52. The other holding Lucas's chest, its velvet lining kissed by the edges of bundled bills. Emma began, voice soft yet steady. She wove her tale of humble beginnings, tracing how a solitary penny learned to multiply through trust in time. Her audience leaned forward, eyes reflecting her quiet passion. When she finished, Lucas stepped up. He removed a single stack of bills and let them flutter like banners. "I once believed wealth was measured by speed," he confessed. "But standing here with Emma's story, I see that true abundance is measured by impact." Together, they unveiled the micro-grant program, half funded by Emma's pennies, half by Lucas's dollars. Each recipient would receive a blend of both, a symbol of unity between slow cultivation and bold action. Day 24, first grants and first joy. The hour before dawn found Emma in her study alone. She carefully lifted 4,194,304 pennies, $41,943.04, and placed them into 3 woven baskets lined with silk. As candle flames flickered, she felt each coin's weight echo through her fingertips. At the same moment, Lucas sealed a check for $10,000 and placed it atop the baskets. By lantern light, Emma and Lucas, separate in space but united in purpose, prepared for their shared mission. With guests gathered in the courtyard garden, Emma handed sealed envelopes to 5 individuals. A young woman with calloused hands ready to launch a gardening startup, a violinist practicing beneath the moon, a tutor with endless patience, an artist clutching charcoal sticks, and a volunteer at the food pantry whose eyes brimmed with gratitude. As each recipient opened their envelope, the baskets of pennies and the folded checks glinted in the soft glow. Emma's heart swelled with each gasp of surprise. Lucas's chest tightened with pride as he witnessed immediate transformation. Day 25. A new dawn of purpose. Sunrise painted the sky in swaths of rose and gold. Emma returned to her study and counted 8,388,608 pennies, $83,886.08, carefully noting the figure in her journal. She closed the leather-bound book with a final flourish, inscribing, Day 25, wealth in hand and spirit, ready for tomorrow's rise. Meanwhile, Lucas walked to his window, where Emma's thank you letter rested atop his velvet-lined chest. He placed his hand over the chest and closed his eyes, breathing in the crisp morning air. In his mind, he replayed the past days, the seminar's fervor, the recipient's smiles, Emma's unwavering calm. Descending the stairs, he paused in the foyer, feeling a newfound humility. He vowed quietly, May every dollar from this day forward build more than comfort. May it build community. Back in the study, Emma lit a single white candle and watched its flame dance. The jar and chest sat side by side, their contents unequal in quantity but equal in intent. In the hushed space between night and day, Emma whispered, May every penny continue to teach me patience and generosity. And so, as light fully claimed the morning, their journeys, once diverging, stood woven together. Patience met purpose, cultivation joined compassion. Act 7 closed on a promise that from this moment onward, wealth in any form would serve the greater good. End of Act 7. Act 8. Echoes of Legacy, days 26 to 30. Day 26. Reflections in Moonlight. The house lay silent, bathed in silver moonlight as Emma tiptoed into her study. The jar on the desk seemed to glow, cradling 33,554,432 pennies, $335,543.32 in its curved glass walls. She paused at the threshold, gathering the hush of the room into her lungs. With each heartbeat, she envisioned the nights past, each one adding to this chorus of copper. Emma lit the slender white candle, and the flame flickered, throwing wavering reflections across the coins. She settled into the velvet chair, the familiar scent of beeswax polish soothing her. The journal lay open. Blank pages beckoned. With deliberate calm, she dipped her pen into ink and wrote slowly, savoring each stroke. Day 26. From a single seed to 33 million echoes. Under moonlight, every shimmer tells of trust rewarded. She closed her eyes and let memories ripple. Her grandmother's gentle hands pressing seeds into loam. The first timid sprouts cracking through the soil. The patient waiting that followed. Emma inhaled the lavender scent of the candle and felt that same root-deep faith stirring within her. Then, with a small smile, she poured exactly 33 coins into her palm, feeling their slight coolness before returning them to the jar. The soft fall of metal on metal sounded like distant rain. She noted in her journal 26 coins observed, each return a reminder that growth honors presence as much as promise. She rose and walked to the window, drawing aside the curtain to gaze at the moon. Its pale orb hung low, a silent witness to her journey. Emma whispered. May every light in the sky echo the hope in each coin. Day 27. Threads of Connection. Sunrise painted the parlor walls in rose and gold as Emma prepared for the morning's workshop. She placed a crystal bowl at the room's center and carefully poured 67,108,864 pennies, $671,088.64 into it so they formed a shallow, shimmering sea. Clara arrived bearing fresh basil scones, and Lily carried a stack of blank maps and colored pencils. The three friends settled around the bowl, the coins reflecting the dawn's glow. Emma began. Today we weave our resources into the community's tapestry. Let each penny be a thread. Clara sketched the neighborhood's footprint, houses, gardens, the old oak tree, while Lily wrote down needs and dreams, a twilight book club for night shift workers, a swap market for homegrown produce, and micro grants for young poets. They pressed pennies onto the maps, copper dots marking where a reading nook might bloom, where a community garden could flourish, where a scholarship could lift a student. The coins transformed paper into promise. Laughter bubbled as Lily traced a winding path of pennies from the library to the garden, imagining neighbors strolling along picking up free books. Clara paused, eyes bright. What if we host an evening lantern walk, with pennies guiding the path? Emma's heart warmed. She reached into the bowl and lifted a handful of pennies, offering them to Clara and Lily as symbolic tokens of their shared vision. They placed the remaining coins in glass vials labeled Reading Hour, Garden Grants, and Scholar Scholarships. Meanwhile, Lucas sat at the youth center's long table, arranging brochures and mentor bios. He wrote personal invitations to each micro-grant recipient, his pen moving with the same careful intention Emma showed with her coins. By midday, the workshop concluded with a gentle ceremony. Emma handed each participant a small pouch of pennies as a pledge of community investment. Clara, Lily, and their neighbors dispersed into the morning sun, each carrying seeds of possibility. By midday, the community center's atrium buzzed with anticipation. Emma and Lucas arranged side-by-side stations. Emma's avalanche of 134,217,728 pennies won 342,177.28, gleamed in grand glass bowls, while Lucas's table showcased notebooks, art supplies, and sign-up sheets. Emma addressed the crowd, her voice steady. Each penny is a promise. Place it with intention and watch ideas grow. Volunteers stepped forward, dropping coins into labeled jars for reading programs, garden grants, and artist stipends. The room echoed with the soft clink of collective purpose. Lucas then spoke, warm and earnest. Your talents are the true currency here. Every skill you share enriches us all. He invited participants to join small breakout sessions, pairing experienced mentors with eager newcomers. The hum of conversation filled the space with energy. Day 29, the Mosaic of Hearts. That afternoon, the neighborhood library's gallery hosted a remarkable sight. Under Emma's guidance, over 268,435,456 pennies, 2,684,354.56, were meticulously placed onto a vast wooden frame, forming a mosaic heart nearly 5 feet tall. Children offered coins, each stamping their initials with pride in the back of the penny. Elder patrons shared stories of small acts that changed their lives, adding coins in gratitude. As the final tile fell into place, the heart shimmered, a living testament to collective care. In the adjacent workshop room, Lucas led the first mentorship session. Young entrepreneurs pitched project ideas as mentors scribbled notes, offering advice on budgeting, marketing, and scaling. Laughter and encouragement wove through the air as shared dreams took first concrete steps. Day 30, sunrise of new beginnings. Before dawn, Emma returned alone to the study. Candlelight flickered against the jar now brimming with 536,870,912 pennies. $5,368,709.12. She ran her hand along its gentle curve and recorded, Day 30, a month's journey crowned in pennies. Each morn births new beginnings. She paused, gazing at the jar and the heart mosaic photograph taped beside it. Beneath that image, she wrote a final vow. May every coin continue to bridge hope and action. At the same moment, Lucas reviewed the mentorship ledger in his study. He smiled as he noted attendance, celebrated success stories, and penciled plans for future gatherings. Setting aside his pen, he walked to the window, watching the first light sweep across rooftops. In their separate sanctuaries, Emma and Lucas shared a moment of silent unity. Their vows, spoken into the morning's hush, echoed across the city. Emma, may every mosaic of kindness guide our paths forward. Lucas, may every lesson we share ignite seeds of possibility. Thus concluded Act 8, with Emma's jar and Lucas's chest standing as enduring symbols of a legacy woven from patience and purpose. Act 9, Reflections and Lessons Learned. Dawn broke gently after 30 nights and 30 days of compounding choices. In separate rooms across the city, Emma and Lucas sat surrounded by the symbols of their journeys. Emma before her towering jar of pennies, Lucas beside his once closed chest of bills. Both vessels now carried a weight far beyond currency. They held stories, connections, and the quiet triumph of purpose. Emma's reflection. Emma traced the rim of her jar, its glass walls whispering of every night spent tending seeds of patience. Her journal lay open to the final page, where she had inscribed, May every coin continue to bridge hope and action. She closed her eyes and let the lesson settle. Patience transforms. What begins as a single humble penny can, with deliberate care and unwavering faith, grow into a fortune that shapes lives. Ritual matters. Daily acts, gentle, consistent, and mindful, become anchors in the sea of uncertainty, guiding one through storms of doubt. Community amplifies. Wealth, when shared thoughtfully, weaves bonds stronger than any vault can secure. Emma rose, carrying a small bowl of pennies to the window. She scattered them across the sill as morning light caught each copper glint. Let them remind me, she whispered, that every small gift plants a seed in another's heart. Lucas's reflection. Across town, Lucas stood by the window overlooking the awakening streets. His chest, once a symbol of unchecked indulgence, now felt like a promise of stewardship. He opened his planner to the reflections page. May every lesson we share ignite seeds of possibility. He scanned his notes and realized intent channels, impact, immediate resources spark momentum, but true change demands thoughtful direction. Humility empowers. Generosity untempered by humility can ring hollow. Combined, they resonate deeply. Partnership strengthens. Collaboration of small coins and grand checks yields outcomes richer than solitary efforts. Lucas reached into the chest and removed a single bill. He tucked it into a folder labeled Future Grants, a symbol of his commitment to ongoing support. Shared lessons. Emma and Lucas had traversed different paths, one winding through patience, the other racing in pursuit of instant abundance, yet they found common ground. Balance is key. True wealth balances the slow art of accumulation with the bold act of giving. Purpose over profit. When guided by intention, money, pennies or millions, becomes a tool for collective flourishing. Legacy endures. The echo of each penny and dollar extends far beyond its face value, shaping futures and nurturing dreams. In the final hush before the world fully awoke, Emma and Lucas, apart yet united, whispered their parting vows. Emma, may each day's choice plant blossoms of compassion. Lucas, may every gift carry seeds of change. And so, beneath the rosy dawn, their stories closed a chapter, not with an end, but with a beginning. A shared commitment to sow patience, steward abundance, and cultivate a legacy that coins and currency alone could never capture. End of Act 9 and conclusion. Thank you for joining this journey through the art of patience and purposeful abundance. If you found calm and value here, please softly tap the like button, subscribe to Sleepy Finance, and ring the bell so you never miss a serene evening with us. Until next time, may your choices continue to compound into lasting impact.